What would you do to beat Terence Crawford that no one has been able to do yet?
Just counter the speed and hard punches and
Smiling.
welcome back to Los Angeles, man.
What happens when a 46-year-old boxing legend with nothing left to prove decides he still has something to say? What happens when a pound-for-pound king chasing a dangerous dream 2 weight classes above his own links up with that same legend to train in the very gym where greatness was forged? You don't get a sparring session. You get a collision of eras. Manny Pacquiao, Terence Crawford, the Wildcard gym. Welcome to boxing's most unexpected bromance.
Welcome back to Los Angeles, Manny.
Boss.
We miss you.
You're looking in tremendous shape. You're ready to fight Barrios.
Crawford is not there for the nostalgia trip. He's there to prepare for a war of his own. A monstrous leap up to 168 pounds to take on Canelo Alvarez. Canelo, the man who crushes ribs with the flick of a wrist. The man whose resume is a graveyard of ambitious men. Crawford knows what's at stake. So why train with Pacquiao, who hasn't been in a meaningful fight since he was outworked by Yordenis Ugas in 2021? Because champion, the guy who used to beat opponents would understand.
Hard punches and strong punches and moving around like side by side and throwing a lot of punches.
And let's not forget, Pacquiao's not just hanging out. He's training for a world title too, against Mario Barrios, a man 16 years younger with fresher legs and more recent ring wear. Barrios is no pushover. He's a modern fighter, tall, rangy, and comfortable in the pocket. He's hungry, fast, and cold enough to try and make a name off someone else's legacy. But Manny is training like it's 2008 again, sprinting mountains, smashing mitts, sweating through t-shirts in a gym that's hosted more blood, spit, and glory than some whole boxing halls of fame.
Manny's a generational talented fighter, but I don't feel like, he did it on his own.
Pacquiao and Crawford aren't just shadowboxing their way through nostalgia. They're hunting something. Call it history, call it legacy, call it one last thrill before the curtain falls. But they're dead serious. This isn't Rocky training with Creed for a charity event. This is steel sharpening steel. Crawford's approach has always been surgical. He doesn't throw punches, he places them like he's designing an engine. But training next to Manny? That adds chaos. Controlled chaos. It adds the frantic rhythm that Pacquiao made famous. A rhythm that scrambled elite brains for 2 decades. If Crawford wants to beat Canelo, he has to do more than hit hard or move fast. He has to throw off the script. He has to disrupt the tempo. That's why Pacquiao's in his corner now. Not for advice, but for inspiration.
Took steroids. Really, the Mayweathers questioned it and drilled them on it, and that made people pick a side.
Meanwhile, Manny's trying to do something most fighters don't even dream of: win a world title at 46, not as a guest appearance, not in an exhibition against a retired soccer player. A real, sanctioned WBC title fight in the modern welterweight division. That's not just brave, that's outrageous. And yet here he is, gloves laced, sweat pouring, eyes focused. And guess what? He's not sparring against washed-up gatekeepers or pulling punches. He's in there with Crawford, the undefeated technician, the switch-hitting menace. You think Barrios hits harder than Crawford? You think he's faster? Not a chance. Manny's sparring sessions now are probably tougher than the actual fight will be. He's fighting ghosts in training, youth, fatigue, doubt, and he's winning.
I can't say that means Pacquiao was on something. And the reason why is because Pacquiao may have been the most tested fighter of all time.
Crawford is benefiting too. The man's about to fight a pressure machine in Canelo. He needs to know what it feels like to deal with relentless offense from weird angles. Pacquiao gives him that in spades. It's not just the punches, it's the unpredictability, the footwork, the fact that you think he's stepping left and then boom, a straight right lands from the center. This isn't your typical cross-training experience. It's graduate school for elite fighters. Freddie Roach sees it all. The Wildcard Gym isn't just a location, it's a crucible, a place where champions are either forged or broken. Roach doesn't have time for pity stories. He's here to win. Watching Crawford and Pacquiao train side by side, that's the kind of synergy you usually only find in movies. But it's happening, real time, and no one's coasting. Mario Barrios better be taking notes, because if he thinks he's getting an old, slow version of Manny, he's in for a rude awakening. This isn't the Ugas fight. That was rust, ring inactivity, and a body not yet warmed back up. This is fire. Old fire, sure, but fire that burns hotter than ever because it knows the flame won't last forever. That kind of fire is dangerous. It doesn't care about age. It doesn't respect odds.
He never failed a test. Floyd did. So you're talking about a situation where now you're just saying he's so good.
For Crawford, the stakes are even higher. He's not fighting a comeback fight. He's walking straight into Canelo's house. Into a division where men eat punches for breakfast, where jabs don't sting, they bruise ribs. Pacquiao's the only guy in the gym who knows what that pressure feels like. Who's fought through it? Beat it. Crawford's smart. He knows experience matters, and right now, he's soaking it all in. The two of them have developed a rhythm. Not quite coach and student. Not quite peers. Something else. A mutual recognition that greatness respects greatness. That there's no room for ego when you're staring down the kind of monsters they're both preparing to face. There's laughter in the gym, yes, but there's also seriousness. Long, quiet glances between rounds. Moments where they just nod, knowing exactly what the other is feeling without saying a word. And make no mistake, this is history in the making. Decades from now, people won't talk about Pacquiao's last fight as a throwaway. Not if he wins. If he pulls it off, it becomes the kind of achievement that makes myths look modest. And if Crawford beats Canelo, forget it. You might as well carve his face into the boxing Mount Rushmore.
You're just saying he's so good that he must be on something. But number two, Crawford said Pacquiao was knocking everybody out until he took the test. That was a damn lie.
There's something poetic about it all. The oldest man in the gym training for one more shot. The best fighter in the world training for his hardest test, both drawn to each other not out of necessity, but out of some unspoken need to prove that warriors never fade. They just evolve, and don't believe the noise. This isn't a circus act. This isn't Pacquiao chasing checks. He could make 10 times the money-fighting influencers in exhibitions. He chose this. Barrios, a real threat, a real belt. Crawford didn't have to fly out to LA. He did it because he respects Manny. Because he sees value in training with a man who rewrote what small men could do in a big man's sport. Crawford sees what most people miss. Pacquiao still has his speed. He still has timing. He still has the will to train harder than anyone in the room. When you've got all three at 46, you're still dangerous.
Knocking everybody out until he took the test. That was a damn lie. Pacquiao power went down after he went up. Pacquiao didn't knock out anybody at welterweight. That had nothing to do with the test. He went up and he ain't knocked anyone out.
Meanwhile, Barrios has to prepare for a version of Pacquiao no one has seen in years, refocused, undistracted by politics or the Senate, just Manny, gloves on, tunnel vision locked on victory. He's not looking past Barrios, and that's what makes this terrifying. He knows how much younger Barrios is. That doesn't shake him. He knows the chatter, the predictions, the odds. He's heard it all before. He's turned doubters into fans before. And now, he's out to do it one last time. Back in the gym, Crawford and Pacquiao aren't pulling punches. Every session is all gas, no breaks. Crawford hits the bag with combinations borrowed straight from Pacquiao's old playbook. Pacquiao picks up tricks from Crawford's shifting footwork. It's a masterclass, live and unfiltered. No cameras, no media stunts. Just two masters of violence giving each other hell and learning in the process.
He went up and he ain't knocked anyone out at welterweight. Oh, he knocked out Ricky Hatton. That was at 140. Floyd knocked out Ricky Hatton. So that doesn't say that Pacquiao had steroid power. He wasn't knocking out anybody. Yeah, he was beating them up.
They're not building hype. They're building legacies. There's no blueprint for what they're doing. No manual for how to be 46 and still world class. No guidebook for how to jump 2 divisions and fight the most dangerous man in boxing. They're inventing it as they go, and they're doing it together. As July 19th approaches, fans better be paying attention. Because this isn't just a fight, it's a moment. A lightning in a bottle chapter where two of the sport's finest meet in the eye of a storm and prepare to unleash one of the most improbable, thrilling, and awe-inspiring comebacks we've seen in decades. So whether you're a fan of Pacquiao, Crawford, or just boxing done right, don't miss this. Because once these fights are over, the book might close for good. And what a final chapter it would be. So here's what you're not being told. This is not just a training camp. This is a cinematic crossover of boxing proportions. It's like if Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark decided to hit the same gym and spot each other on the bench press. Only here, the bench press is your entire reputation, and one bad move could tear your legacy like a rotator cuff. Terence Crawford is here not just to break a sweat, but to break the limits of what's considered normal training. Because let's face it, if you're training with a living, breathing boxing time machine like Manny Pacquiao, who can still punch like he's late for church in General Santos, you're not doing basic drills. You're rewriting the manual. You're breathing the same air as the man who traded punches with Mayweather, Morales, Marquez, Cotto, De La Hoya, and that's just a Tuesday for him. If boxing had a Mount Rushmore, Pacquiao wouldn't just be carved into it, he'd be shadowboxing on top of it. Meanwhile, Crawford is the scientist in the lab, analyzing every angle, breaking down every move. He isn't just running sprints, he's clocking foot placement like it's algebra. He's soaking up the Pacquiao method like gospel. You can almost see him in the locker room muttering, "What would Manny do?" before throwing a left hook. For Crawford, this is like training next to a comet. You might not get another shot like this again. And if you're wondering how this chemistry is even working, 2 different generations, 2 different fight styles, don't. Because what's happening is something boxing rarely gets, a silent pact between gladiators. They don't need to talk about it, they don't need a PR rep tweeting platitudes, they just show up, they train, they hurt, they heal, repeat. Over and over again until their fists tell the truth on fight night. You think they're just trading combos in the gym? Nah, they're trading soul-level knowledge. Pacquiao, the tornado in sneakers. Crawford, the chess player in gloves. Both figuring out how to become hurricanes in their own way. Every jab thrown in that gym has a hidden message. Every dodge is a masterclass. Every grunt is a lesson. You don't get this watching highlight reels. You only get this when you sweat in the same room as greatness.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm rocking my pants, putting suckers in fear, making the dance rain down like a monsoon.
And just when you thought Pacquiao might be slowing down, just when you assumed this was a swan song, a nostalgia tour, a farewell concert, he comes out of the Wildcard gym looking like he reverse-aged 2 decades. His feet tap like drumsticks, his punches sound like firecrackers, and he has the nerve to smile mid-combination. The man is 46 going on Fight Night Freddy. Even Freddie Roach, who's seen it all, looks like he's coaching a kid again. He's not phoning it in. He's all in. Because this isn't about age, it's about obsession. Manny Pacquiao is obsessed with leaving boxing the way he entered it, explosively, not limping out, not fading away. If he's going out, it's with fireworks, a band, and possibly a presidential speech. Meanwhile, Crawford is watching all of this like it's a boxing documentary unfolding in real time. He's not just there to support, he's taking notes. He's studying the footwork, the tempo, the mentality. He knows if he can absorb even 5% of Pacquiao's madness, he might just have the blueprint to survive Canelo. And if he doesn't, well, at least he'll go down swinging with knowledge forged in the fire. And don't get it twisted, Pacquiao's not just training for Barrios. He's training like Barrios owes him money. He's doing uphill sprints like he's chasing his younger self. He's working the mitts like they insulted his family. This isn't a man easing into retirement. This is a man throwing a middle finger at Father Time, daring him to try again. And the result? Wildcard Gym looks like a war zone of talent. People walking in thinking they're going to catch a glimpse of history, and instead walking out feeling like they witnessed a resurrection. You've got 2 masters of violence sharpening their tools under the same roof. It's not a camp, it's a cathedral for boxing IQ.
10 seconds.
And if Mario Barrios thinks he's just getting the 2021 version of Manny, the one who looked human against Yordenis Ugas, he's mistaken. He's getting the 2008 remix, the high-volume, feet-dancing, head-hunting demon with the energy of a 22-year-old and the experience of a professor. And now that energy's been co-signed by Crawford. How do you even train to fight someone like that? Someone who's training with Wien, the guy who's about to fight someone heavier, younger, stronger, and still isn't blinking? These are not men preparing for boxing matches. These are architects designing mayhem. Every morning run is a campaign. Every punch on the bag is a paragraph in the thesis of pain. And that thesis, it reads, "We are not done yet." But wait, this gets more poetic. Crawford isn't just here for the sweat and tape, he's here for the ghosts. He knows Pacquiao has haunted these halls for decades. Every fighter who ever walked in that gym tried to mimic Manny. Crawford, he's not mimicking, he's absorbing. He's adding Pacquiao's footwork to his toolbox. He's layering chaos over calculation. He's cooking up something new, something dangerous. And somewhere in Mexico, Canelo should be side-eyeing the news. Canelo's camp probably saw the headlines and laughed at first. Manny Pacquiao? Isn't he retired? But now they're seeing footage. They're watching Crawford slip shots in sparring with that Pacquiao rhythm. They're watching him unload combinations with that extra snap. Suddenly, it's not funny anymore. Suddenly, they're wondering if this little training vacation turned into a tactical nightmare. And as for Barrios, bless his soul. He's stuck in the middle of this boxing renaissance like a confused understudy in a Broadway brawl. He's talented, no doubt. He's hungry, but he's also walking into a legacy sandwich, and he's the lettuce. This ain't just a fight, it's a ceremony. Manny's gearing up to burn the final chapter into boxing's Bible, and Barrios is just the paper. Barrios says he respects Pacquiao, and of course, he should. But he better also respect the fact that Pacquiao is now backed by Crawford-level analysis. This isn't just a comeback, this is a co-op mission. Two legends running parallel stories in the same gym, one trying to end right, the other trying to rise even higher. It's rare, it's mad, and it's beautiful. Even now, fans outside the Wildcard gym are gathering like disciples. They don't know what they're watching, but they know it's rare. When else do you get to see two icons casually work the double-end bag while discussing pivot angles and feint traps? When else does boxing look like a sacred dojo instead of just a brutal business? And don't kid yourself, this chemistry could lead somewhere else. If Pacquiao shocks the world and beats Barrios, and if Crawford pulls off the impossible against Canelo, who's to say we don't get one final super fight? Don't roll your eyes. In this sport, the last thing to retire is a good story, and Manny loves stories. He's not training to fade away. He's training like there's another door to kick open. And with Crawford right there beside him, you better believe they're both looking through that door wondering, what if? What if we both win? What if the stars line up? What if this isn't the end, but the rebirth of something we thought we'd never see? Legacy doesn't sleep, and neither do these two. This isn't mentorship, it's war prep. It's madness. It's everything boxing used to be and everything it still can be. It's blood, rhythm, and memory punching the future in the face. So, July 19th, clear your calendar. Put your phone on silent. Don't blink. Because what you're watching isn't just Manny versus Barrios. It's history checking in for one last round. It's Terence Crawford picking up relics of greatness and reforging them into weapons for war. It's the past and future colliding in the present. And it might just change everything. Oh, and if you're not hyped yet, go back, watch this again. And if you made it this far, you clearly appreciate the madness. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fight game mayhem, legacy talk, and training camp chaos. Because in a world full of talking heads, we bring you the real footwork. See you ringside.